Okay folks, this is what we're comparing today. In the left corner we have the Challenger Regal LT 2000, not to be confused with the old Regal, which weighs a lot more and maybe a different reel. I never disassembled the old one. This is the new one, just came out, well, last year. Regal LT 2000, and this is Legalis LT 1000. Legalis came out 2017, this one came out 2019, okay? And for those of you that are new to this business and wondering why am I comparing 1000 with 2000, 1000 and 2000 sizes are one and the same reel, with the only difference is that the 2000 will have slightly larger spool, usually 2 millimeters larger. But when I compare these two, it's barely 1 millimeter. So the difference between 1000 and 2000, even in the spool size, very, very small. So here is what I'm going to do to save you guys time. I'm going to start the review with the most important stuff first. And as the review goes on, I'll give you just less and less important details. And at the end, I'm going to give you my opinions. But you know what they say about opinions? The problem with them is that everybody has one. But yeah, I'm gonna start with the most important stuff first, just to save you time in case you don't want to watch the whole thing. And if you do appreciate that, don't be lazy and leave this video a like, okay? So here it is, the most important thing that you need to learn from this review. These two reels are one and the same reel, and all parts on these white sheets are interchangeable, all of them, with the caveat that in some cases, if you move one of the parts, you may have to move other parts with it. You cannot carry only a single part, but as long as you carry a couple of them, you can still swap them. This doesn't mean that the parts are the same and the reels are exactly the same. The Regal has a couple of unimportant upgrades over the Legalis, but it also has a couple of unimportant downgrades compared to the Legalis. Now, in my opinion, none of these matter. It is one and the same reel. Go buy whatever you want. Whichever is on sale is my recommendation. I'm just starting this video with the conclusion. Whichever is on sale or whichever you like the color more, that's the one you should buy, because all of the differences that I'm gonna go through in the rest of the video are just not important. But if you wanna know what the differences are, here we go. I'm going to start with the difference that I'm sure most of you will perceive as the most important, even though in my opinion it is not, but it is the spool support, okay? The one thing that really pops out if you compare these reels on the website is that the Regal, the orange guy, has 4 extra bearings. Well, 2 of them come on the, let me focus here, on the spool support, okay? These 2 little guys here, I'm sorry about focusing, but you can see them. These 2 little guys here in the Regal with a little washer on top of them. These are 3 parts, 2 little bearings and a little washer on top. These are the only 3 extra parts in the Regal compared to the Legalis, because here is the spool support. For the Legalis there is nothing. The bottom of the spool rests on this plastic washer here. Now, to accommodate for the bearings, the bottom of the spool is a little bit different than the Legalis, okay? It is flat here, so it rests on the washer. But here it has like a hole cylinder, and in this hole the bearings will go. That doesn't mean that the spools are not interchangeable. They are, and I'm going to interchange them actually. But if you want to replace the spools on the two reels, you're going to have to carry this spool with the two bearings and the little washer over here, and this spool back. So that is the first difference, the spool support. The second most important difference, if you were to rank them, not me, but if I made a poll and you ranked the importance of differences, would be this. Two of the bearings were in the spool support, the other two bearings are here in the knob. Basically in the Legalis you have a little shim and then the knob is on bushings. And in the Regal LT you don't have the shim, but the knob is on the two bearings. And I have to confirm, you can hear it? I don't know, get the microphone closer. There is a little bit of free play in the knob of the Legalis that just doesn't exist in the Regal, okay? So this does seem as legitimate upgrade. On the water, for the life of me, I cannot feel the difference. Now the next thing that you probably want to see, again I'm ranking them in the importance that I think you perceive, not that I perceive, is the little difference in gears. Now the pinion gear is exactly the same, and the main gears have the same size and geometry, and they are interchangeable, but they're not exactly the same. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but the Regal LT appears to be a little bit smoother surface than the Legalis. Again, this is a 2019 manufactured part, this is 2017. These two are swappable, okay? And on the water, they feel identically smooth. But they don't look identical. The Regal LT looks a little bit smoother. The other thing is, if you can read this, the numbers here, maybe the big ones, okay, but I'm gonna have to read them to you and you're gonna have to just trust me. The part number, it is obviously cast zinc alloy gear. The part number here says 603759 V1 on the Legalis. 603759 V1. This gear here, the part number is smaller. It still says 603759, but it says V2. So the old number is the same part number but version 1, and this one the same part number but version 2. Does this mean that, can we assume that version 2 is superior to version 1, but because they are the same part number they're interchangeable? I don't know. It is more likely than not this gear is a little bit better than the original Legalis. But again, practically on the water, I could not detect a difference in smoothness. So I would not make a buying decision based on what I just showed you in the main gear. Okay, now here is a difference that you probably don't think is important, but I think it is. And I think Daiwa addressed a structural problem with the Legalis and the LT reels in general. Like I said, the parts are interchangeable. This is the side plate of the Regal put on top of the frame of the Legalis. Look at this over here. Do you see it's sticking a little bit out? It will still accept it, but it is sticking out. All the holes, everything lines up. You can swap the side plates of these two reels. However, it fits so good that it kind of snaps in place. Okay. However, if I put the same part on the Regal reel, it doesn't stick out. Who can guess what this means? Okay. Daiwa added a little bit extra meat here in the frame of the Regal LT. Does anybody know why? There was a complaint about the structural rigidity of the frame of the Legalis. There was too much flex exactly here. And in the 1000 and 2000 and 2500 sizes, I never found the importance of this flex. I don't feel the flex. I mean, I've caught some carp with this reel. Never noticed the flex kind of bothering me. However, I also wanted to use the Legalis for carp fishing, and I bought the 4000 size. And the flex here, right here, that they added now some more meat, was just too much. I mean, you can flex the... It really made you nervous. You feel like it can snap. So that was a problem with just structural problem in the frame, in the design of the frame that Daiwa addressed. Okay, so I will have a summary at the end of all the upgrades and all the downgrades compared to the two reels. But so far we only looked at upgrades, okay? Extra bearings, better main gear, most likely, and a little bit extra meat here in the frame. But unfortunately there are some downgrades. But in my opinion, just like the upgrades are not important, the downgrades are unimportant too. Now let me show you 3 bales here, okay? For those of you that are new to this business, okay? Daiwa advertises 3 types of bale. True one piece, well that's my terminology, not theirs. But they have true one piece, they have a fake one piece, and they have 2 piece. This is the rotor of Daiwa Luvias 2020. If you look, this is a true one piece because there is no connection. There is a Bale arm here. There is a hollow arm and it just connects. This is one piece with the rotor. This is on the Luvias. On the Legalis, it looks the same if you're not careful, but there is a connection here. So this Bale arm that is hollow is a tube, goes on top of this part. And I'm not aware of any instances of this connection here failing. But in theory, this is superior because it's one piece, and it's a lot more expensive to manufacture this one piece, believe it or not, than these 2 pieces. So Luvias, true one piece. This fake one piece, even though Daiwa kind of calls them the same. But then we have the Regal, they don't even pretend to be. This is hollow Bale arm. This is just wire, it's not hollow, and it's connected rather annoyingly like this. Okay, so this is the first downgrade of Regal versus Legalis, this connection here that you see. A second downgrade that is completely unnecessary but probably inconsequential is, let me show you because you don't know what to look at. Do you see this golden washer over here? I'm moving it now, okay? This is the pinion gear bearing support washer. I don't know if it's supporting anything at all. But this washer is here in the Legalis LT, okay? There is no washer over there in the Regal LT. And this washer is not in the schematics of either reel anyway. So I don't know if Daiwa considers it a part of the frame, but you cannot even purchase this washer. You'd have to purchase the whole frame to get this washer. I don't know if this washer is supporting anything, but I prefer to have it. I can't tell the importance of this washer, to be honest with you. Like I said, both reels feel identically smooth in my hand on the water. So it's probably inconsequential and they removed it, but I'm just telling you that there is a little difference there. And the last little difference before I go to the summary mode and some opinions is this cylinder here under the rotor. Okay, you see, you don't see it in the Regal. Well, that's the cylinder that the anti-reverse bearing runs on. I don't know why Daiwa glued it to the rotor on the Legalis. It is quite strange, but it's not glued to the rotor on the Regal. But again, you can swap the rotors, but if you're swapping the rotors, you would have to get the, give me this, where is this? You'd have to get this part here and carry it with the rotor, because in the Legalis these two parts are glued together. Okay, so that's another little difference. Again, I think it's inconsequential. In theory, it's probably better in the way it is in the Regal, because if you put pressure on the rotor, it will move, and as it moves, it will move the support of the anti-reverse bearing. So why glue it to this? So in theory, the Regal is better. In practice, I don't know, I feel, I'm going to talk to this in summary. In practice, I feel actually the Legalis is better. Very strange, but I'm certain of my observations. So these are all the differences in the reels, okay? And I'm gonna place some kind of schema here or table with all of the differences in one page. So you can kind of have everything in one view and make your decision. And now I'm gonna make my summary and observations, okay? Now, here is why it is important to fish the reels instead of just open them and analyze the parts. My on-the-water impressions of the two reels are that they feel identically smooth. They are the smoothest, easiest rotating ultralight reel for $50, just period, okay? However, I do feel the drag of the Legalis significantly better than the drag of the Regal. And why that is, for the life of me, I do not understand, okay? I mean, the Regal has the two extra bearings to support it. Shouldn't it be smoother? Everything else is exactly the same. By the way, they do have only one felt washer. Nothing else, okay? No, not multiple felt washers, no carbon, a single felt washer. Everything is exactly the same, but the color of the washer, the Regal is whiter, and this one on the Legalis is darker and more transparent. And Daiwa sometimes will advertise two different drags on two reels. This is a tournament drag, and this is, I don't know what other drag. But the only difference in reality is the different oil applied to the felt washer. Here my speculation is the Legalis felt washer is oiled, while this one is greased. And when I put the reel together, I will wipe this grease off and I will apply a different grease. I don't have oil for felt. But I promise you, on the water, the drag of the Legalis feels significantly smoother. I mean, it just so much smoother. For the life of me, I don't understand this. All these extra bearings, and then the Legalis feels smoother. And this is the end of this video, guys. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to make this decision yourself. The parts in the Regal do seem to be a little bit better. The upgrades seem meaningful, but on the water, for some reason, I feel the Legalis feels just, the drag is smoother. But overall, amazing reel either way. Nobody will regret buying one of these. If the purple color is not a turn off for you, just go with whichever you can find cheaper. That this is honestly my opinion. If this color is a turn off for you, don't worry about the extra parts. You can still buy the Legalis, okay? So you're gonna have to make this decision yourself. I am done. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.